Are you here to confirm that Daredevil is responsible for this, Detective?
There is no proof that Daredevil even exists.
We won't go in one direction
or zig where we can zag. We will walk through walls. We will take a look around us.
We will not.
Oh no, this podcast screen. It's time. What was I going to start? Oh yeah, it's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's podcast, episode 50. Somehow it sounds like I'm low energy because I was asleep like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, well.
Well, I'm trying to over-exaggerate my energy by dumping on Silver, who no one can please and is constantly upset and unhappy.
You know me.
Yes, we do. That's why he said it.
Oh, no. There goes
Thanks,
Tokyo.
Jeff. We're glad to hear from you, too.
It's Silver. Chance, my baby boy, he's in the chat. Well, everybody, it's another episode of the podcast. Jason, how's it going?
Not bad. Been trying to get through the Midnight Suns. There is a story in there somewhere, but the gameplay is super grindy and repetitive. So
that's
I
how
can see why people
tend to be to
didn't
encourage
really
you
go
to
for it.
Stick around.
Yeah. I mean, so the story is that there was this human woman back before the founding of the United States. She went evil, became demonic, but before that she had a child, and you are that child. Now, in your first confrontation, you both died, and your body was preserved, and you were then resurrected after she was resurrected by Hydra, and so you're trying to oppose her, along with several Marvel superheroes who form the basis of a group called the Midnight Suns, spelled S-U-N-S. And Lilith, the bad guy, is trying to fulfill a prophecy to bring back an evil god to destroy the world. So you have the likes of Stephen Strange, Tony Stark, Captain America, Spider-Man. They all at one point or another jump on and become part of the Midnight Suns, but you start out with like a B-list roster of characters, barring Bane himself, or not Bane, Blade. Blade is the only one that's really a named, like, recognizable character. The others are Nico Minoru. I don't remember. Or Sister Grimm is what her code name was. She came from the Runaways comic. And then you have Magic, who is Colossus's sister. And you have
fairly stupid.
Yeah. And you have one Ghost Rider, but it's the most recent Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes. So you don't even have like Johnny Blaze or very much like diversity kind of higher type thing here, because you've got an Asian woman, you've got a Russian woman, and you've got Hispanic guy. And
Well,
then
we're getting
what
a
I've-
lot of
what
a
I've found
lot
is
of
I
these-
mostly pick.
finish up.
Go for it.
Well, we're getting
Well,
a lot
I
of these
found that,
really
like, I
dumb
mostly pick
storylines.
Sorry.
We're getting a lot of these dumb storylines that existed in the comics. And a lot of people will point out, it's like, well, this is lore accurate because these characters were in the comics, and or these storylines were in the comics. And it's like, yeah, but those stories were dumb, and that's why the comics were dying.
Yeah.
So don't tell me, oh, it's lore
Yeah,
accurate. The lore was stupid.
So, like I said, there is a story hidden in there. I don't know that it's pulled off very well. So I can understand the the reason why people passed over it, because one, you're not getting the named known characters, at least not to start out with. You have to collect them along the way. You start out with, like I said, it's mostly like a B list tier of, maybe even C list tier of characters, apart from Blade. Blade is like the only one that is named and recognized. I mean, yeah, people are gonna recognize Ghost Rider because there is a Ghost Rider in this, but it's not Ghost Rider. It's not the Ghost Rider. It's the most recently introduced Ghost Rider. And no problem there. But the thing is that when you buy a Marvel game, you want to play as the A-list tier of characters. You want to play as the Avengers. You want to play as Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, that kind of thing. And while you do get those characters, they come later. And I have to say that I tend to, unless it's forced on me by the game, I don't pick the starting characters. I pick Spider-Man. I pick Captain America because those are the characters I want to play as. So
I'm still not interested in the game. It sounds like it's balls. Silver. How's it going, champ? Bucko, who no one's ever happy with.
Yeah. It's been great questioning life choices.
You do that constantly.
Constantly questioning life choices.
So just homework and despair.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sweet.
school's back in session for our giant kaiju monster. So yeah.
It's been 2 weeks and I'm already done.
You're like,
There are some semesters like that, yes.
Just end it. End it now.
I would like to. Leave your door unlocked.
Please.
I'll make it happen.
Okay. Thank you.
I watched some anime that's not mentionable because they're all blurring together because they're not interesting or stand out in any way. They all are basically the same stupid story about some isekai person fighting some demon lord or being the demon lord or collecting a harem or some such nonsense. The lack of creativity when it comes to all of those isekais is so disgustingly bad. Which is why when a story stands out and is different, I'm like, oh, it's kind of different.
It still may be bad, but you notice it because it's like, this isn't like all the other clones of the isekai genre. It's like, oh, this one did something interesting, and it still may be bad.
Usually if I say it does something interesting, it's usually good in a way. Because there's different isekais, like the one where they turn into a vending machine, but that's just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But there have been others where it's like, oh, it's got an interesting story, or maybe it takes itself seriously, or it has some sort of threat, or basic storytelling which pushes it along, as opposed to just somebody's just re-vomiting the same structured story over and over again, and I am sick of it. And you might ask yourself, why are you watching this? And I would answer, I don't know. I play it in the background while I do stuff. I have a sin to confess to. That if you can grant me
Okay.
absolution.
Confess. We are here to hear your confession.
I've committed a cardinal nerd sin, and I've been watching The Big Bang Theory. It's
You've been
awful.
watching what?
The Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I wanted something different, something that wasn't a stupid anime that I've been in a rut watching, and I basically bowed out in season 4 and 5, and I was correct to bow out in season 4 and 5 because it was getting bad at that point, and it was just bad. Why am I still watching it? I don't know. It just plays while I'm doing stuff. It's not good. The Big Bang Theory is kind of a crappy show. It's insulting. It talks down to nerds. Everybody turned it into this like, oh, nerds are hip now. It's like, no, they're not. They talk about them like they're losers who can't get girls, and they don't really lean into the nerd stuff. Like, here's a problem with content that talks about sort of nerdy, geeky culture. They tend to look down on them even though they're making a show about it. Like, one of the biggest problems was that stupid Kevin Smith show, where it was kind of like a Pawn Stars, where they go to the secret stash and then
I remember seeing that a few times.
They sell like collectibles and stuff to them. It's just guys sitting there. But it's like, oh, we're embracing nerdy culture and we're going to talk about nerdy stuff. But the guys are kind of pieces of shit, and they sit and insult each other and make and like crap on the Asian guy. And they're like a-hole New Jersey people. And it's like, oh, this is why the show sucks. Because it's nobody just enjoying what they like to enjoy. And they're so pathetic in how they go about stuff. So when it comes to discussing things on the internet, sorry, I'm going to go into a slight rant here. Movies, video games, anything in this realm. You get a few choices. You either get the people who are over enthusiastic about anything that comes out remotely related to nerdy, geeky stuff, period. It's like reaction channels are like, oh my gosh, it's the new thing, even when it sucks. They are over enthusiastic about anything that comes out or that they get access to. They're overly positive in a confusing way about any of the content that comes out, or they're extremely critical about anything that gets released, where the channel is basically the naysayer channel, where all they do is spend their time crapping on any new thing that comes out because they hate it and it's never going to live up to their expectations. I remember listening to a channel like that where the guy was like, my channel got really upset with me because I started talking about things I liked.
Oh, yeah.
Because the expectation is you're just supposed to scream about everything that you hate all of the time. And there's an element in nerd culture where we're belligerent douches. It's like the cliche of like, we were picked on or ostracized and we get onto this like unpopular thing and now it's popular. So we're still douchey to each other. There's no cohesion is what I'm saying. And there's an attitude that you're supposed to love everything that comes out and that you're not. Not every Star Wars is good. Not everything that comes out of Marvel is any good. And we need to live with the fact that
I remember
that they're talking down to us. Anyway, Jason.
Yeah. I remember, so when I have been interested in this kind of stuff since I was very young. I mean, two of the movies that I grew up watching over and over again were the original Star Wars and Indiana Jones. My dad got an Atari 2600 for us, so that was like the first video games that I started playing. We eventually, progressed and gotten comic books and all that other stuff. For me, I don't know where this vitriol is coming from. In saying that, I met other people like me through school and things, and we talked about this kind of stuff all the time, but we were never like, oh, this stuff, you like that? Oh, I hate it. It was always like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to find out more about it. Cause, and maybe this was just kind of the years that I was growing up. Because at that point in time, nerds were still looked down on and grown men didn't read comic books, and that was a kid's thing. And if you were into sports, you weren't into video games and comic books and that kind of, and
tended not to be
things like Dungeons and Dragons. That wasn't part of your thing. And so, we were always really, at least my circle of friends and stuff, if one of us really liked something nerdy, it was like, hey, that's pretty cool. It was never one of those things where it's like, oh, you like video games? We would get that kind of stuff from the jocks. They're like, oh, you like video games? You guys should get out and play once in a while. Play some real sports and things like that. So when we got to the internet age, and it's just that vitriol sells. And so they've actually, instead of saying, look at all this cool stuff that we've grown up with and that kind of thing, in order for them to get views, get clicks, it's like we have to say what we hate, and we got to go hate.
Well, it's the thing when it comes to like rage baiters, where you get upset about every new thing. The one thing that's always marked nerdy, geeky people is they're very passionate about the things that they like. And herein lies a big problem with this, if we are in any way a sort of culture or group of people, is we overly obsess about the things that we like, and in many ways we self-identify through the things that we like. So we very much struggle to deal with the fact that when people criticize stuff that we like, we don't know how to handle it. Because it's like, oh, I'm a Star Wars person. It's not treated even so much like music. It's treated like that's part of your self-identity. And when people criticize something that you like, it's like they're attacking you as a person. And nobody knows how to deal with those sorts of criticisms. So it's almost a troll to poke at people and be like, oh, the big thing that's popular that everybody likes, well, that sucks now. But it's always existed across the world where we have criticisms about things that they don't do right. We're passionate about the forms of media and entertainment that we like, and it's fine to criticize it.
That's true.
And rage baiting is always going to be a thing on the internet. It's just silly that you're either supposed to be a rage baiter or you're supposed to love every single thing. Like I've gone through and seen people react to stuff that sucks and act like it's good for some reason. Like a trailer for a movie, I was like, oh, that sucks. And they're like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, no, it isn't. And the lack of capacity to be critical, to be critical about what's happening. This show could easily be blamed for being hypercritical and negative. To be fair, we report on things that are happening, and anything worth talking about tends to be negative. But that's not to say we don't like stuff. I really like Star Wars until a certain point. I really like the Marvel movies until about Endgame, which was a bit disappointing, but not entirely bad. And then the Spider-Man one I liked. And then after that, they've pretty much all been bad. And it's like, oh, well, you're supposed to like all of it. No, I'm not. You're supposed to hate everything. No, I'm not.
I wonder if maybe. Well, I was going to say, I wonder if maybe my reaction, and maybe to a certain extent your reaction as well, to this kind of this kind of hate against things that we like, we don't care about it because when we were growing up, and maybe Silver can kind of speak to this as well, but when we were growing up, we were getting so much hate from the people outside that it didn't matter to us whether they liked it or not. It was all on us to like it. And so it wasn't necessarily even it's like, yeah, that guy's going to hate this stuff. I don't care. And we just went forward and we just kept liking the things that we liked. And it didn't matter if, the guy that just called me a nerd because I like comic books or whatever, because, that's just kind of the atmosphere that we grew up in. It was like, yeah, whatever, I'm a nerd. I don't care. I'm going to like this, whether or not you think it's cool, because I think it's cool. And it wasn't necessarily that I'm internalizing this. Well, you've got to like it because if you don't like it, then that means that I'm somehow less. I don't know. Did you kind of have that experience when you were growing up? And like I said, maybe Silver can kind of speak to this because she's a lot younger than we are.
In my experience, at least this was an experience for me. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
If you didn't like the thing everyone else liked, you were shamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think it's one leading the other. I think it's you don't have friends, you find things to entertain yourself. I don't think it necessarily starts as I like geeky stuff, therefore I'm ostracized. I think you're ostracized and then you find geeky stuff. I think it's that way. Because if you had other things
and
to
that
do,
could be true.
If you had other things to do, if you had friends and were into sports, you didn't have time for all of the video games and stuff. To address Chance says, I like the Big Bang Theory hosers. Well, Chance has bad taste and is a horrible person.
We've established that.
Well, that's not to say there's no merit. But the problem is Big Bang Theory has huge flaws in the storytelling. One, it demeans all of the nerdy characters and make them seem like pathetic losers who have no chance whatsoever, and that's basically the joke. Number two is they don't fulfill plot points. If you watch it, they'll create a plot scenario and then they'll unresolve it and end the episode, and that happens all the time. They don't resolve storylines, they leave things hanging and leave you plot holes. Additionally, the show turns from I can't get the girl awkwardly to I kind of got the girl to I got the girl, and now it's just a relationship show for 5 seasons where they're just talking about trying to get along with their girlfriend/wife, and it's insufferably awful. It went from nerdy guys talking about nerdy stuff and interacting with one another to now we have whole side plots where the girls sit and dish and talk about no nerdy stuff and just talk about boys and relationships. And I was like, when did this go from a show about nerdy stuff to a show about girls talking about relationships? Answer me this. Well, I forget Chance is a girl and lacks the capacity to understand the male perspective. That being said, let's not dwell on this too long. We do have some major stories to actually go through. First of all, the big thing that's come out that basically is the big point that everybody's been talking about is the new Daredevil trailer. I hope most, if not all of you, have actually watched the Daredevil trailer.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Silver, no. So I'm a massive fan of the Daredevil show. The first 2 seasons are nearly perfect, and the third one is very good. It might actually be the best superhero anything that's come out, like better than the movies. I am a massive, if you didn't know, I am a huge Daredevil fan. He is my boy. Him and Spider-Man are up there. Huge fan of Spider-Man, but like Daredevil's my boy. He's dark and gritty. He's not overpowered. Daredevil doesn't always win. He loses sometimes. He gets beat up. He has to overcome odds. He's a fearless street fighting sort of guy. Chance says season 3 was ass. You are correct. Season 3 had problems. It's not entirely bad. There's some redeeming qualities. You're not wrong, though. But that being said, Daredevil, amazing show. They do spend too much time with him outside of the suit in season 3. They introduce Bullseye, and then Bullseye doesn't spend any time in any Bullseye outfit. He spends time dressed up as Daredevil, which is confusing. Season 1 and 2 were where it's at. Regardless, they ended up pulling the license with Netflix, and all of those shows went away, and they were allowed to be bought up by Disney Plus. So you can watch them now on Disney Plus. Daredevil, Punisher season 1's really good. Season 2 is it's not unredeemable. Luke Cage, the season 1 is really good. It doesn't end well, Season 2 sucks. Let's see. Jessica Jones was pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of Jessica Jones's character. They pretty much covered the only good story in Jessica Jones's only good story, and her season 2 just it sucks balls. And Defenders wasn't that great. And the biggest sin of all, another character I really like because I like the Marvel Knights characters, is Iron Fist, and Iron Fist sucked. It's the most emasculated, loser, pathetic person who ends up giving up his powers in, I think, season 2 to the girl because he doesn't feel he's good enough.
It was season 2, yeah.
It's pathetic. Iron Fist is a terrible show. It should be set on fire and forgotten about. And Danny Rand should never return, at least as that character or that form.
Yeah.
But Daredevil was incredibly popular. Chance says I'm a huge fan of Kristen Ritter and would watch her read the phone book. Well, you're welcome to do so. Her show sucks, by the way.
I can just see her releasing a spoken word album.
Her show sucks balls. And her Daredevil's amazing. I love the show. Love it. Big fan of Daredevil across the board. So now they were going to do a new show on Disney Plus. So this was announced a while ago, like during COVID. And it was going to be called Daredevil Born Again. Now, to give you an idea of the original iteration of this show, it was going to be a complete reboot with almost no reference to the previous seasons. So basically, the other stuff didn't really happen in this new version. The new version was going to be a court show, mostly a court drama show, and Foggy and Karen was going to be in it. Well, Foggy and Karen were not going to be in it. Karen was going to be gone, and I think Foggy died. This is the original intention of the show. The most important characters to Daredevil, Foggy and Karen, are gone. And it's going to have almost nothing to do with the previous shows that were really good. And everyone was going to hate it. We all knew we were going to hate this. Out the gate, we knew you weren't doing it right. And they filmed half of the season. And somehow...
Oh my gosh, they actually got greenlit to do that crap?
Oh no, they filmed half of it, Jason. And some executive, I don't know who, sat down and watched it. He must have known that the winds were turning and people were not okay with this stuff because it wasn't being successful. And somebody said, this is really bad. We're not doing it. Throw it all out the window. We're starting again. And they reshot. Now, I've heard that there are some scenes from the original half that they filmed that will still kind of exist. But the whole thing's been revamped. Foggy and Karen are back. They're not dead or gone. The show it recognizes almost entirely. I think there are some things that are not quite almost entirely all of the Netflix stuff as still being canon. So this does exist in the same world. It all the previous stuff that happened, which if you're going to get people invested in the show and then throw all of the lore out the window, then you're just going to enrage everybody because they're like, what's happening? Because people don't understand the nuance of what you're doing. So they're going to be confused when you ruin these characters. And the show, if you watch the trailer, comes across as fairly gritty, fairly dark.
Yeah.
Now, dark and gritty does not guarantee success.
The tone seemed to agree with the original.
Correct. It's almost darker and grittier. Behind the scenes, it is said that this is the most rated R Disney Plus thing they've ever made. Daredevil is kind of rated R, believe it or not. He injures people. He breaks arms and legs. Now, there's a joke. It was in a Spider-Man comic, if I recall, where a bunch of villains are sitting around discussing what's it like to be a villain in New York. And basically the joke is you get arrested in Uptown or other parts of it. Spider-Man gets you, and Spider-Man frequently just webs you up and leaves, and then the cops don't know why you are webbed up, and they don't have evidence, so they tend to let you go. Or if you get caught by other people, they might beat you up a little bit, but you're mostly going to be fine. And then unanimously, everybody's like, also don't go into Hell's Kitchen. Because Daredevil doesn't try and work with the cops or arrest you. He just injures you. He will practically beat you to death. Daredevil is a dark character. He is a violent character. And the show's been great for it. The lighting and how it captures it. This story is actually, I can't remember the writer, but it's actually kind of a newer one, where basically Fisk is mayor and he basically has an agenda against superheroes, and it shows White Tiger in there. And there's this trial of White Tiger where they sort of go after his character and put him on trial, and Matt sort of defends him in court and that sort of thing. It becomes this big anti-vigilante story. And this story actually exists amidst a lot of really bad Daredevil stories. Somehow stood out as a really good one, so I'm glad they're doing this story. The trailer looks... Here's the problem. I am a beaten and battered ex-girlfriend. I shouldn't trust you. I shouldn't go back to you. I think you can change, though. This is a bad idea. So I'm going to give you a chance, but you don't deserve it. So there's been a lot of very positive, like, oh, the trailer looks amazing. Trailers can be cut to look amazing and the show can still be bad. Yeah. But the trailer looks amazing. Now, it's amazing, yada, yada, yada.
The trailer does look good. Whether or not they actually pull off the story beats that they've kind of set up with the trailer and stuff, and they actually deliver on the promise of the trailer, is yet to be seen. But if they had to scrap the whole original project and revamp it, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, knock on wood, however you want to do this, that they revamped it in the right direction. I haven't seen it yet, but I watched the trailer, and then I noticed that it pulled up a bunch of videos and things, and Nerdrotic, it seems that he has the same opinion as you. I haven't seen his reaction, but from the title of his video, it seems like it's that kind of reaction where it's like, I don't know if we should trust this yet or not. It's like, it looks good, but so I'm going to go out on a limb here, I know, and say that a lot of the internet is probably on that same kind of having that same kind of reaction where it's like, I don't know if we should trust Disney Plus on this because of how we've been burned in the past with this kind of stuff.
Well, Chance says, let's do some multiverse stuff and get Affleck Daredevil popping up. Shut your stupid prostitute, your stupid prostitute mouth, Chance. I will backslap you. I am so sick of multiverse stuff. I know he's trying to troll us, but you can suck it, Chance. Sorry, Jason, you were saying.
No, absolutely not. That would be so crap.
It would be awful. Batfleck. I mean, one of the biggest flaws of this Matt Murdock is he's not a redhead. But you know what? It's fine. Yeah. Whatever. That being said, look, everybody approaches every new thing that comes out, and they're like, oh, you're just being awful and cynical. You should get everything a shot at a base level. I don't think that's true. I don't think any company or any brand deserves the benefit of the doubt. They have to earn your trust. They've lost my trust.
Exactly.
Now, the show might be good, but that doesn't mean I'm obligated to consume every product they give me simply because it's related to the nerdy stuff, because people are obsessive about this. They talk about toxic fans. Guess what? Toxic fans are really just passionate fans who love these characters. You ruin these characters and we will bury you. But if you get them right, if you make a good story that honors the original source material, we will be your biggest champions. We will run around telling everybody to watch it because we love it. We want it to be good. We want it to be successful. We will champion your product. But how dare you ruin it and make it a piece of crap and insert your own politics and change the story to reflect some sort of agenda? We will bury you with it.
You are blame us.
You are not better than the source material. You are not a better writer than the source material. We are not here to write your opinions. We are here to watch a good Daredevil product. You know what the trailer doesn't have? It doesn't have some girl boss taking over the story. It's about Daredevil. You know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have a pathetic, emasculated villain who doesn't seem to be the center of the story. Wilson Fisk is one of the best villains in the Marvel Universe that we've seen cinematically.
Yes, he is.
That being said, lest I remind you people that they've already ruined parts of this story. I think everybody's forgotten that we had a Hawkeye show. And in the Hawkeye show, his sidekick, a little girl, beat up Wilson Fisk and made him seem pathetic and ruin his character. Lest we forget that we had Echo, where Echo beat up Wilson Fisk by using his feelings and making him feel bad. You've already damaged one of the best villains of all time by having him be beat up by little girls. This show is already on a bad footing, even if it looks good. So for me to actually enjoy this thing, I'm going to have to pretend that the other things didn't happen because you suck at what you do. Here's the problem. And this is a problem that exists with recent villains in the Marvel Universe. It exists with Kang, with the recent movies. Look, you can't have a villain that is not a threat, that's pathetic. Because you know what's going to happen? No one's going to take him as a threat. You can't have Kang lose in Quantumania and still have him come back as multiple different characters and still act like a threat. He's not a threat if he can be beaten by Ant-Man's daughter. He's not a threat if he's... You know what made Thanos a credible threat is because he won. Is because he beat up the Hulk. Is because the villains need to be so powerful that it takes overwhelming odds. A villain should be so much of a threat that it's difficult for the hero to win, and then it's triumphant when they do. If you undermine the villain, they're no longer a threat. Villains should always be more powerful than the hero. Always. And you've undermined this character already as one of the best villains in the Marvel Universe. Oh, look, he's not dead and Karen's fine or whatever. And also we see a Return of the Punisher. I really like John Pernthal's Punisher. I think he does a very good job with the Punisher. The very gritty version of the Punisher. Also, lest we forget, you've damaged Daredevil, who showed up in She-Hulk, where he had to take the walk of shame in the really crappy yellow outfit. You've already damaged these characters before we've gotten here, and so now I'm supposed to buy that these characters aren't pathetic in the way you've presented them. So, on the outset, there's not a guaranteed success. It looks good based upon the trailer, but the trailer's meant to be an advertisement to get you interested in the show. So initially,
it may not be may not be deceptive, but we can't trust it.
No,
because that's its job.
Its job is to convince me to watch it.
Yeah. And like I said, the show could be amazing. It could be a return to form, and it could be that this is the linchpin that a new renaissance of Marvel hinges upon, and because of how great it is, we get a new resurgence of the Marvel Extended Universe and all that other stuff. It's entirely possible, but it could also be that this is another steaming pile of garbage. We just don't know. The trailer looks looks good, but like I said, we can't trust it. We cannot trust it.
Not necessarily, no. Let's see. I think Chance was adding an invite, so I'm going to see if I can't. He wasn't saying anything, but he showed an invite, so we'll see if he doesn't sneak in here. I tried to send an invite. That being said, it looks good. Chance says, to be fair, there is no walk of shame after banging Tatiana Masalny. Only a walk brisk and with a glow. Here's the problem, Chance. He didn't bang her. He banged a giant green monster that might have cuddled a man. So yes, there are problems with this story. Silver, I don't know if you watched the Daredevil stuff in the past.
I have not.
But do you like it at all? You interested?
I'm interested based on it's like you guys talking about it, the original stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
All right.
I should look into it sometime.
Some of the best fight choreography I have ever seen put to film is in that first Daredevil season.
The fight in the hallway.
No, my parents were nuts about it when it came out.
Oh, that hallway fight.
I also
A thing
really
of
like
pure
the fight in the hospital when they were going after
Yeah.
What's her name? And they're fighting down the stairs when they send the hand. Little known fact: Ninja Turtles come out of the Daredevil universe.
Yes, they do.
Did you know? Yeah, did you know that? So believe it or not, when Daredevil was made, a bunch of acid fell on the ground and landed in Daredevil's eyes and made him blind. And that goo, according to Eastman and Laird, who made Ninja Turtles, went into the sewers and created the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, think about it. Splinter is the name of their leader, right? Splinter and the Ninja Turtles.
Uh-huh.
The guy that trained Matthew Murdock, his name is Stick. The Ninja Turtles fight the foot. Daredevil fights the hand.
Well,
See, Eastman and Laird couldn't get Marvel on board with the Ninja Turtles, and so that it was published independently, if I remember right. And because it was an independent comic, they couldn't go lean hard into the whole the same accident that created Daredevil was also the same accident that created the Ninja Turtles. But yeah, it's there.
huh.
It's there.
I will never look at that the same again.
Yeah, they're not necessarily part of Marvel. They just thought it would be neat to connect to Daredevil, which, you know, it is. It's kind of neat.
Man, do I want to see the Turtles and Daredevil in the same room.
That would be an interesting crossover right there, where the hand and the foot team up and the Ninja Turtles team up with Daredevil to take him down.
Daredevil's just like, thank goodness I can't see you guys. Sounds horrific.
Ninja Turtles actually have teamed up with Batman in comics,
They have, yes.
I believe that one.
which is confusing and strange. Here, sorry, I'm trying to do something in the background. I don't know if Chance was really trying to jump into the discussion, but I'm going to send an invite just in case. Regardless, it looks good.
Thanks, Chance.
Chance says the fact that there was never a scene in Daredevil in which the cops ran up on a crime scene and remarked, "This looks like a hand job," is a real missed opportunity. I'm really bad at understanding innuendo. You might have to explain this to me later. I like the capacity to get these things. Let's move on to a different topic, however. Everybody, the Nintendo Switch 2 has been announced.
Yay!
Well, as a Nintendo Switch shill, personally, I am excited for a Switch 2. It looks pretty freaking cool. You know what I'm happy with? It doesn't look like they've rewritten the story. It doesn't look like they've reinvented the wheel.
No.
They've improved upon.
There are a couple of differences, like the way you get the Joy-Cons on and off. Everything is a little bit bigger. I'm a little bit confused on why they put a USB port on both the top and the bottom.
There's got to be some reason,
but whatever.
The reason why I brought up this article, so it's like, what are we expecting? The controller is slightly different, but they haven't rewritten the wheel, and it looks like it's going to work fairly much the same. The screen looks a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smoother on the edges. I've seen a lot of people going, it's like, will this replace my Steam Deck? Yes, it will, because it's Nintendo. The Steam Deck is way too expensive.
I do like the kickstand a lot better on this one.
You don't like the little plastic, like, tiny leg that's easily broken off? You don't like that?
No, it's a piece of garbage.
What are we going to expect from it? We don't know. There have been no clear information. We think we're looking down the road at a new Mario Kart, from what we can tell, which is amazing because, believe it or not, the Mario Kart for the Switch is actually a Wii U game. So it has been quite a while since we've actually had a new Mario Kart. The Mario Kart 8 for the Switch actually came out for the Wii U.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's quite an old game. And actually, I would argue Mario Kart 8 is like peak Mario Kart. It's almost like Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, it is really good. It's an excellent game.
Where Ultimate is like the ultimate Smash Brothers, and it's got everything you could ever want. So it's like, how do you make a next Smash Brothers? Because you've already peaked Smash Brothers. And it's like, you've already peaked Mario Kart. How do you make a better Mario Kart? And it's like, oh, well, you reinvent it in a way, you make something new. And it's like, well, then people hate it because they want familiarity and stuff that works. Yeah, I'm all game for Mario Kart. Mario Kart's the girl that brought me to the dance in the first place. Mario Kart, you know what? The moment I bought a Nintendo Switch is I was at Best Buy looking at stuff, and they had a Nintendo Switch display, and I picked up the controller and started playing Mario Kart, and I was like, I'm gonna buy it right now.
I need this.
Yes, I need this. So I grabbed the Switch and the games, and I walked out. I did pay, but I got it and I walked out because it was Mario Kart right out the gate. It wasn't Zelda. It wasn't Smash Brothers or whatever. It was Mario Kart out the gate. Chance says, didn't Nintendo run into fatal confusion between the Wii and the Wii U due to close resemblance in name and design? I wonder if history might repeat itself. That's an interesting point. There was confusion with the Wii U. Wii U didn't sell well because people didn't know that it was a new console. However, I think people are more savvy because they're calling it the Switch 2, and it is by design has to be backwards compatible. So you can play all your Switch stuff. It functions across the board with everything you've done with your Switch. So it'll run perfectly, and the backwards compatibility will be fine.
The other thing that I would say is a reason to not think that Nintendo is repeating its mistake with the Wii and the Wii U is that
it was bad
Sony has done
advertising.
this with the PlayStation. It's not like people were getting confused with the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2 or the PlayStation 5. I don't think there's the same issue that
Wii U was poorly advertised. Nobody
with the Wii and the Wii U.
As far as people were concerned, the Wii U was like you were buying a little hand controller with a screen. They didn't know it was a whole console.
Right.
To this day, the Wii U
I'm
is
pretty
still
sure
the
that
only...
everybody when they were looking at that were thinking, well, this is a peripheral to the Wii.
Yeah, I guarantee you that's what they thought. That's what I thought. And the Wii U is still the only console I don't own, and I would like to, but I don't own it. Not the only console I don't own, the only Nintendo console I don't own. Also, not counting the Virtual Boy, because I don't own a Virtual Boy. I'm 100%. I'm a big Switch fan. This is awesome. Depending on how finances go, I'm probably going to try and get one. Speculation, however, is the Switch was actually very affordable. Speculation with this one, it looks like the rumor is the price is going to be something like $450 to $500, which is more expensive than the Switch out the gate, because the Switch was like $4. It's not terribly more expensive, but then it's like, oh, we're getting a premium console. My expectation, it's probably going to be in 4K, because Nintendo's always like one generation behind in technology, like with resolution and that sort of thing. Is it going to be a technological powerhouse that's going to bleed your televisions? No, it's not going to be a PlayStation 5 or Series X. It's going to be a fun console, because guess what? Nintendo was fun. We're expecting a Nintendo Direct here sometime soon, in a month or two. And we may actually, the rumor is, we may actually see this released in summer. Switch, how jonesing are you for the Nintendo Switch 2?
I've seen some interesting things about the Switch 2. Just kind of reactions from people getting a little bit upset that they just this past Christmas they just bought a Switch, and now they're saying, oh, the Switch 2 might be coming out this summer.
Just because you're old to the console.
Dang it, I could have waited.
Just because you're old to the console doesn't mean it's Nintendo's fault. Like, that's not there.
Right. No, totally. Like I said, it's just some reactions that I've seen.
Silver, you don't feel anything about the Nintendo Switch 2? How is this going to slot into your busy life?
I'd never be able to play with it, but I want it. I love the Switch.
I want the toy. I want it.
I want it. I need it.
How much of your Switch do you still play, by the way?
The only chance I ever get to do anything is in the summer, so I haven't touched it in a hot minute.
I usually play it actually about once a day. I play Dr. Mario or Tetris or something when I relax and laying there waiting to go to bed or something. So I do actually play it once a day. It's been a while since I've gone through a full game on there, and I intend to. One thing I haven't mentioned, I jump between consoles, and it's because I don't have any loyalty. I'm just going to play the game that looks fun and I want to play right now. And at the moment, I'm playing my PlayStation 5. What am I playing? A game none of you have heard of called Unicorn Overlord, which is like a Japanese RPG. Having loads of fun. Loads of fun playing it. But in all likelihood, I'll probably move from that, unless some big new game comes out that I have to play, to something on the Switch, because I've been meaning to jump back onto Zelda and stuff. I have what's that Zelda game from the Wii U era. I bought it for the Switch, and I've been meaning to play that. Skyward Sword? Probably will play Skyward Sword. But it's been a hot minute since I've actually played through a full game. But yeah, exciting news with Nintendo Switch. But guess what? The other big news that everybody's been freaking out about, because everybody really gives a crap, is TikTok, everybody. Yay, TikTok. It looks like
TikTok, I'm totally behind this ban.
Well, so to give you an idea of what's happening, TikTok, there's been a push to ban TikTok from politicians for a while now. And it looks like they've recently passed a thing where it's probably going to be banned in the next day or two. So now you're asking yourself, why are they banning TikTok? If you're just an average person, you don't understand something to do with China. So essentially what's happened with TikTok is a Chinese company. And everybody's going to go, well, they're just some private Chinese company. That's not how China works. But they're a Chinese company that manages this popular short video stream thing where people put stuff on there. Everybody uses TikTok except for me. Like, I don't use it.
I don't use it either.
Now, there have been concerns for a while, not just because it's owned by China and we're bigoted. It's because we know very well that TikTok mines information, like your personal information. And you go, oh, well, all of the companies do that. And it's like, yeah, but TikTok specifically does this.
Well, not only that, but because of the way that companies work in China, the company that owns TikTok is beholden to the Chinese government, who can at any time, and probably currently does, ask for the mined data from TikTok. And on top of that, they probably are influencing what gets shown on TikTok.
Well, they're not probably, they are. When certain political events happened, massive shift in TikTok of what's been represented, tried to push certain left-wing political ideology stuff in this country, which caused a shift in perception because everybody uses TikTok and then they consume those political messaging. Believe it or not, there's a big issue when it comes to what you consume across media. Like, let's say Google. Let's say you're an average person who doesn't know anything about politics, and you type in some issue you heard of and you kind of want to know what's going on. Your opinion is shaped by the news you consume. And if Google is intending to be malicious, they can recommend only sources that give you a certain perspective on that news. And believe it or not, Google kind of does that. The problem with TikTok is manipulating the algorithm to, this sounds conspiratorial, to undermine American political discourse and culture and whatnot. And we've known this for a while. And they're collecting our data. Now, freedom, if everybody's walking into this with their eyes wide open and they don't care if they're collecting your data, that's one thing. But basically TikTok, who has members on its board who are part of the Chinese government, who are deliberately using the information to manipulate American audiences, then this becomes a national security risk. I am all for freedom when it comes to choices, but this is actually another nation state that's undermining us. Now, all this being said, the law actually states that you just have to sell it to somebody domestically, and that way we know that it's not being controlled by the Chinese government, is essentially what it says, or they're just going to ban it. And it looks like they don't want to sell, or they might sell to Elon Musk, or whatever the rumor is with Mr. Beast. There was a rumor Mr. Beast was going to buy. I'm still not going to use TikTok. I hate it. Setting all of this aside, you might go, oh, well, doesn't China have TikTok? They do have TikTok. But guess what? Their TikTok is very heavily regulated. And guess what you see on their TikTok? Young people being shown how to do science, encouraged to be self-independent, encouraged to be, they show science experiments and math experiments on their stuff. It's actually beneficial to people who see it. It's not just inane dance videos or some weird political messaging, or trying to insert some DEI thing into the culture, or insert some sort of agenda into the culture. China's TikTok is dramatically different than ours. And they're letting ours run amok because, believe it or not, China does have an agenda. They do want to undermine America and stuff they're doing. I'm not a conspiratorial person, but this is deliberately being done. And China wouldn't put up with it if we were doing it to them.
Well, they currently don't put up with it. The thing is that they ban things like Google so that they can't be used in China. So the thing is that this needs to go both ways. Either China needs to get out of it and let us use TikTok the way we want to use it, or they need to allow us to broadcast our own propaganda in China. But China's not going to do that because that would undermine China and the Chinese government. They are a lot more savvy than our government has been over this kind of thing.
Yeah, and TikTok is very much a propaganda fuel for China. It just is.
Yeah.
There have been
Now,
a lot of people
one of the
complaining
things
that they make their livelihood on TikTok, and they're
Yeah.
like, how horrible this is. I'll lose my livelihood. And it's like, so we don't make
a different platform.
public policies based upon whether or not you're making money on TikTok. It's like, oh, well, one person will feel bad because they're making money on it. And it's like, okay, if we felt bad every time stuff had to change, then we would still have the horse and buggy because somebody's making their livelihood with the horse and buggy. Yeah. Look, this is going to happen. A company doesn't have a responsibility to keep its doors open and exist simply because you have a job there or you make money from it. I'm sorry that your livelihood is doing really shitty little videos on TikTok, but guess what? That's probably going to go away. Now, do they have the capacity to ban, like to stop you from viewing it? Like, can they can ban servers. They can ban other things. They can't, I don't think they can necessarily remove TikTok from your phone. And I don't know exactly how ban will work, but there is a capacity to actually ban it from functioning.
If you already have it on your phone, it's not going to, like, someday you'll wake up, turn on your phone and say, oh, TikTok's not there anymore. No, it'll still be there. But you won't be able to find it in the store anymore. And they're going to, I know they're going to have to do something so that you can't get to the TikTok servers anymore. Otherwise, there's no point in doing the ban.
Yeah.
People are just going to do TikTok anyway. So they're going to have to do something so that access to the servers that TikTok needs to function are going to be inaccessible to users in the United States.
That's my assumption is how it
and
would
as far as the content creators, as far as they go, I have no sympathy for them. They can, at any point in time, switch to a different platform. Yeah. Oh, TikTok's being banned? I'm sorry, my audience. I have to move my content to a different platform. And if your audience really, really likes your content, they will move with you. Otherwise, you'll have to get a real job.
But they don't make real content is the problem. They make clickbait videos of doing minor things. Like it's like people who do little clickbait videos on like YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever. They don't actually really have fans, so to speak. They don't have people that are loyal followers. They have people that like the little silly things that they do. So no one's going to really follow you if you move because you don't create content. You don't create anything of value. You create silly little things that are consumed in short little videos, which kind of belies the shrinking attention span of people across the board as well. This isn't different than like Joe Rogan moving his podcast from one platform to another. People will follow him because he creates content. You don't really create content. You create clickbait videos.
And that was my point. If you really have loyal fans, they will follow you to your new platform.
Yeah,
there's no problem there. But if you really don't have loyal fans, get a job.
Get a job, loser. Silver, as an avid TikTok fan, are you upset that you won't be able to consume your videos, cringe videos of guys pretending to defend the girl? Or how about
her huge eyes out?
Yeah, I'm so heartbroken and sad. Oh, no.
Well, what will I ever do with my giant tiny self?
What will I do now that I can actually walk into the women's restroom and not see someone doing a weird TikTok in the mirror?
Is that a thing?
No!
Is that a thing?
Of course it is!
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, boys don't do that.
Can't tell you how many times I'm like,
You are the broken gender.
That I've walked in. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've walked in to a restroom to see someone doing a stupid dance in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't want to be in the background of your video or have you make some weird thing about me walking into the background of your video, so I just awkwardly stand by the door until they're done.
It's a good thing I'm not in a lot of public places where I see this, because I would deliberately ruin it for these people, because that's the type of person I am. Just ruin everybody's TikTok. I would be notorious for the guy that gets in the background of everybody's little TikTok video just to make it like terrible. And then there'd be like, I'm trying to film a thing. It's like, you're in a public place and it's not my responsibility to make sure your stupid thing is successful or works.
When we were behind those girls in Japan that were like doing videos and stuff.
Yes, I did deliberately walk behind a girl trying to take sexy pictures in front of a torii gate, and I don't feel bad about it. I deliberately ruined it, and I mugged to the camera with like a dirty face. I was like, I'm the stick in the mud.
It is so obvious to me. It was so obvious to me that those girls had no idea what the torii gates were for. That they're just there looking at this thing and taking, yeah.
To anybody that's not aware, a torii gate is a gate that covers the doorway of shrines that marks the passage from the mortal world to sort of the spiritual immortal as you enter a Shinto shrine. Frequently, in some places, they'll have multiple torii gates, because torii gates are sometimes donated by wealthy donors, and they cost so much money. And so you have places like that Shinto shrine in Kyoto with all the torii gates in a line that everybody usually sees, where they're just, and those are all donated by individual patrons who worship or like the temple or whatever. And they usually have their family name written on the torii gate. But yeah, she was taking sexy pictures in front of it. And it's like, this is a busy place and I don't give a crap about your stupid, awesome picture or whatever. Yes, I like to ruin things for people. It makes me happy. And it's all about me because I'm the main character. I am the main character. I am the protagonist. It actually makes me out to be kind of like an evil villain. Like... Like I'm sitting in the background going, hey, I'm going to ruin everything for you. That's...
You just need a black mustache to twiddle.
No, I was thinking something like Cobra Commander.
Dr. Evil.
Mask. Or maybe Skeletor, skeleton face. Or like, that's the type of villain I would be.
Oh, that would be good. Purely for the
Little known fact, everybody. It's like that guy that does those silly Skeletor videos or whatever. He did a video that was completely wrong, because he did a video where Skeletor was like, hey, everybody, did you know that on Snow White dies and then has to be revived by the prince kissing her. Therefore, Snow White is a zombie. And it's like, first of all, she didn't die. She went into a deep sleep. So get over yourself, sir. She didn't die. The poison apple didn't kill her. She just went into mega sleep.
Yeah.
Snow White
stories have a thing about sleep-like deaths.
Yes. Snow White is not dead, and she did come back as a zombie because somebody kissed a corpse, and that there wasn't some sort of corpse creepiness where he's making out with a dead body. That didn't happen. It would be more interesting if it did, but that's not how the lore works. We might see that in the new Snow White. We'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't have a man.
The thing is even if she did die, she was then brought back to life. Zombies are not brought back to life; they are still dead.
Well, they're still
by
like
definition
animated dead.
They are ambulatory dead.
So it's all wrong. Skeletor doesn't know what the crap he's talking about.
Yep.
So that is correct.
Skeletor.
Take that, Skeletor, to bring you down a notch. News now.
The Distracted
Yeah, let's
Gamer
go.
Podcast's big steaming pile of news dump.
You know, everybody, it's that special time of the day where Chance is sitting on the toilet reading a paper and refuses to go to the bathroom by taking his pants down. He just goes through it. He goes through the denim. Because it's a news dump. Guess what the news dump is? We go through a lot of news really quickly because that's how we do. That's how we do things. To begin the news dump, David Lynch died. Director of Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet, and my favorite version of Dune. Suck it, recent Dune with Timothée Chalamet. And you know what? I'm not a big fan of David Lynch. He's a weirdo. But the Dune movie
see it in his
is
version of
supposed
Dune.
Well, Dune movie
Still,
is...
it was still fun to watch.
Well, the reason why the Dune movie is good is because Dune is weird. That's why it works.
Yes, it is.
Because Dune's weird. It's supposed to be weird. And yeah, famously, if you didn't know, he was brought forward to perhaps direct one of the Star Wars movies. And David Lynch has one of the funniest interviews where he talks about being brought in to see some of the stuff and to talk to George Lucas. And David Lynch's basically, he says that he brought me in to talk to him and he showed me something called a Wookiee. And I had the worst headache ever. And then I had a really bad salad, even though I like salads. And he's like, it was just miserable. And I had a terrible headache. And yeah, David Lynch wasn't interested in Star Wars. And he would have made a weird, dumb Star. He's not the right man for Star Wars. But he could have.
No.
There was a chance. And he makes weird, creepy movies. What was it, Eraserhead? He made Eraserhead. That's right, Jason. That weird movie, Eraserhead. But people always viewed David Lynch's movies as these sort of artistic side stuff. And now, sympathies to the family.
You and I were both
related to that. What's that, Jason?
You and I were both around when Twin Peaks was on television.
Yep.
And Silver has never seen an episode of Twin Peaks. It was bizarre. I watched a couple episodes of it when it was on television. I never understood why people liked it.
Well, here's the thing. The first season actually functions kind of okay because it's like a murder mystery with this weird sort of mystical aspect to it.
Yeah.
But by season 2, they answer the murder mystery from season 1, and then the rest of season 2 is dead. Like, they should have either kept the mystery and never answered it or waited to answer it at the end of the next season or something. Because the show has nothing to do. Because it's a pretty good show. It's really interesting to watch. But then it's like, it's more about the weird stuff to him and the unanswered questions where it goes nowhere. And then they did the reboot, like the return for Twin Peaks recently.
Right.
And it was just weird. It's just a weird show.
That was, yeah. Why would you resurrect a show like that?
Because people are obsessed with Twin Peaks.
Makes no sense.
Because people are obsessed with Twin Peaks.
That's true. And they shouldn't be.
Well,
it wasn't very good.
People could like what they like. The show had redeeming qualities because the first season actually is interesting, but it falls off the rails and it doesn't go anywhere. And the weird stuff is confusing, but it was interesting. It was interesting in the investigative X-Files-y sort of way, but he lacks the capacity to give you some sort of resolution that feels satisfying. And
well, not only that, but like you said, if they wrap up the murder mystery in the first season, there's no reason to come back for a second season unless you have some other weird happening. Because if I remember right, the main characters were like federal investigators.
Yeah.
So once the mystery was wrapped up, they would have left.
Well, here's
they
the problem.
Have hung around.
Well, no,
unless
Jason.
Something else happened.
Here's
that
the
was
problem,
in their jurisdiction.
Jason. They didn't wrap it up in season 1. They wrapped it up at the beginning of season 2. Why would you do that? Why would you?
I mean, that really just kind of proves my point.
Why
you
would
wrap
you
it up
drag
and then
it
there's
until the
nowhere
end
for
of
the
the
second
season
to go.
Well, precisely. That's why season 2 of Twin Peaks sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ross is here. Ignore him. Gowron is
Guess who's
bug-eyeing.
here? Here again.
Glory to you and your podcast.
Ross, did you watch Twin Peaks?
God, I think I started it, but I never finished it.
It's a weird show, but season 1, I contend, is actually pretty interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah, I remember liking it. I don't know why I never finished it. I'll be honest.
Season 2
Probably
sucks.
season 2.
And that's because he lacks the ability to write a story that resolves very well. And it as soon as they solve the murder, there's no reason that the federal investigators, you're right, would stick around. So they make up some other crime thing to justify them doing stuff. It's like, if you were going to resolve the big murder, the mystery of what happens in season 1, where would you put it, Ross? At the end of the first season? Maybe the end of the second season.
Yeah, I mean, if you knew you were going to get a second season, yeah. But if you didn't know you were going to get a second season, I guess you'd put it at the end of the first.
Yeah, they resolved the murder from the first season in the beginning of the second.
What?
Which gives you
why
nowhere to go for the rest of season 2. You're like, what are we doing?
It's really dumb.
Yes, it is really dumb. Because David Lynch doesn't understand normal story structure. He's just a weirdo. It's just
Who made
confusing.
A beloved Dune film, by my opinion, but you know.
My opinion as well. I like the David Lynch Dune, and my
Same here.
contention is the
I think
reason why it's good is because Dune is weird. The story of Dune is weird.
Oh yeah,
it should be a weird movie.
Yeah, that universe is strange.
It is strange that they do like psychedelics and they see into the future, and he becomes a giant space worm.
Yeah, they decided they hated computers, so they made people become computers. You know, just normal things.
Yeah, they were afraid of AI, so they hyped people up on drugs so that they can be like calculators.
Here's my drug-addled calculator. Come, do math for me, please.
and
if you OD on it, you become somebody who can fold space and time.
Well,
and become a worm guy.
In the movie, they're giant floating worms. In the books, they're more like butterflies, sort of thing.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're weird and creepy. But the Mentats had the red lips because they're constantly eating the spice. So it was all over their face. I always thought it was because they licked their lips too much and they gave themselves a rash, like those kids used to do.
Well, the makeup in the 80s movie, that's super what it looks like.
It does.
I mean, it does. It looks like one of those kids you always see in the wintertime in elementary school.
Just licking his lips too much.
Just red, horrible lips because they just can never keep a chapstick.
But David Lynch will actually probably still exist in the zeitgeist because he made some interesting movies. People remember
for sure.
his work.
He's cemented.
Shifting on, Bob Uecker has passed. Now, everybody doesn't know who Bob Uecker is. He was a baseball player, played for the Milwaukee Brewers, and was very funny. He was in a bunch of comedies and movies, and everybody remembers
Mr.
Bob Uecker being in everything. Mr. Belvedere. He was on those baseball movies, those comedies later on.
Yeah, he was a lot of times they got him to be the announcer.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a bummer. Bob Uecker's great. He was funny. And he also will be missed. We've lost a few. Another angel has fallen, everybody. Sweet, beautiful
gone back
angel.
to the arms of the Lord.
Sweet, beautiful angel Bob Uecker with his giant, funny man face. Interesting news about Star Wars Outlaws because we're just obsessed with Star Wars Outlaws. And more bad news for Star Wars Outlaws. Ubisoft's open world title is reportedly being outsold by Jedi Survivor, which came out in 2023.
Oh my god. Which, by the way, is also a single-player game. So,
Yeah.
That's
Everybody, make a game that will bring the boys to the yard. Maybe not ugly woman with bad game is going to bring the boys to the yard.
Yeah, and the bad game is real. I mean, lest we forget, the footage of that game being played is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. It's so embarrassing bad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Broken
it literally
stealth
plays. I mean, it
mechanics.
looks better than this, but like the gameplay, like looks like it feels like a crappy Steam game, like that you bought for $2.
The broken stealth mechanics that were
That's
so
not
busted.
the thing you want to hear about a AAA game.
Yeah,
Well,
it cost hundreds of millions.
The stealth mechanics that were so busted that they had to remove the mission failure state because you didn't do the stealth right in order for the missions to function correctly.
Jesus Lord. What a game.
But, you know, whatever. Outlaws sold great. What are you talking about? Everybody, some interesting news. So, CI Games, the developer of Lords of the Fallen, recently stirred up the debate in the gaming community with a poll addressing gender selection in a medieval fantasy RPG. So they had a poll and they asked, do you want us to call it body type A and body type B or male and female? And overwhelmingly, they wanted male and female. Like, it wasn't even remotely close. It was like 88% of players went, no, I don't want body type A and B. Give me male and female. Which should tell you that the push for these weird political things in games is pushed by a small percentage of people who are very loud and very ornery. And the vast majority of people are not interested in the political drama. They just want to play your game with the male or female characters. They don't buy into the gender politics. And so the RPG is not going to have body type A and body type B because he said, we're going to follow the poll. And this is what the results of the poll.
Wow. That's surprising.
Yeah. So, you know.
I mean, because, you know, it's ballsy to put that up there because I'm sure they knew it would stir up controversy in some form or another. Not necessarily towards them.
Yeah.
But.
Well, you know what, though?
Well, not only that, but
as them trying to get out ahead of controversy, where if somebody complains, they're like, yeah, but we had a poll.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to do it. Say, you know, we asked the fans what they thought, and this is what they told us. So we were only doing what the fans told us to do. It is kind of a pass the buck kind of shifty little reaction there, but yeah, it's not a bad way to go about it.
All right, so let's move on. So Ross, you'll find this interesting as a resident Halo fan.
Yes.
This is somebody's tweet where he says, I spoke to Halo 5 devs who confirmed that 343 Industries, created a cool roadmap to continue Halo 5 story, but decided to drop the story and anything related to Halo 5, I'm anecdotally here, because of the negative reaction from Halo fans. This includes the Guardians, which would have been a much bigger role in a post-Halo 5 world, but the reactions towards the Guardians were so negative, quote unquote, the narrative team decided to wrap it up as quickly as they could.
That doesn't surprise me. Halo 5 is kind of universally despised. The best you'll hear about it is that some people liked some of the multiplayer stuff, but I mean, the numbers as far as the people playing it was really low. I mean, I think I've said on the record here on the podcast before, but I'll say it here again.
Yeah.
For me, Halo was over when Bungie was no longer making it. Halo Reach even was a slight disappointment for me. I liked the campaign a lot, but I didn't like what they did with the multiplayer. It changed some things that I didn't like. And so I was kind of over Halo by then, despite how much I liked the campaign. So I didn't play Halo 4 until the Master Chief Collection got it. And so when it came on the Master Chief Collection, I played it and hated it. I hate that game.
Yeah,
I do not understand how it did any of the sales numbers it did. That game is a giant piece of fucking shit. And the enemies are horrible, the color palette's awful. And so much so I hated Halo 4 that when I got to Halo 5, I thought it was a lot better. I mean, it still isn't much of a Halo game, but I think it's a better one than 4.
To be fair,
I was so turned off by all of it that I haven't even played Infinite.
Usually the rule of thumb when it comes to sequels is sequels do well based upon the success of the previous one.
Yep.
Because people go, oh, I really like this, I'm going to get the next one. Now, It might have less sales word of mouth than the previous because it's not as good.
Yeah.
But they tend to bring in numbers if it's really, which is why Star Wars did really well, even though the movies were bad. It's because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's pretty evident, even just with the other Halo games. I mean, Halo 1 was a great title, I believe launch title, or at least really close to launch title for the Xbox. But because it was such a rushed thing, it didn't have the online capability, which didn't even exist on the Xbox yet anyway. Xbox Live didn't go live till a year and a half later, I think. But it was so well liked that Halo 2 was the game on Xbox Live.
I mean, Halo was the game I got.
360 era.
Halo was the game that I got with my OG Xbox.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Think that was the first game I had.
Yeah, and to the point where, I mean, Halo 3 was the game on Xbox Live until Modern Warfare 2 came out, which was 2 years after Halo 3 came out. So, I mean, it's hard to state how huge Halo was, and it's so funny now because people try and act like it's the Halo fans' fault when it's like, well, why did they leave? Because the Call of Duty fans didn't leave, or at least they were able to replace them sufficiently. Because those are still huge games. Yeah. What happened to Halo? Oh, it's because they're big hunks of shit. That's why.
I mean, you said it. The original Xbox owes its success to Halo.
Yeah, which I think I heard a rumor that this year is the year that they're going to maybe take some Halo over to PlayStation. Which, I mean, as far as I'm concerned emotionally, that's the end of the Xbox brand. That's over. I mean, when you're whoring out the thing that made the brand, all because you haven't been able to replace it well, and you are in desperate need of money.
Well, to make a good enough version to justify
that's it for the Xbox brand.
To make a good enough version to justify Xbox purchases.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I mean, right? You and I have talked about this. I mean, they went from having Halo and Gears of War and like all these to nothing. They have nothing. I mean, we'll be lucky if we have a pretty good Gears game this year. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm excited because at least it's not horrible Gears 4 or 5.
Microsoft was one of the first ones to go hard down the road of the DEI sort of representative politics in their games. And guess what? Gears was the big Xbox game, and it went hard into, oh, we need strong female protagonist, and then everybody was like, and then the games got worse and less masculine and killing stuff, and then they're trying to tell these stupid stories. Me and Ross just played through the Gears games. Just all of them.
Yeah, we did.
All of them. 1 through 5, including
and
the other.
You know what's interesting is there's a similar thing with both Halo and Gears where the original developers were no longer around.
Yep. This happens all the time.
After Reach, Halo went to 343 Industries, and then after Gears 3, they did that one Judgment that was People Can Fly, which I think is a Polish company. And then but that was just a little spin-off that was contracted out clearly.
And I liked
it. And then it was the Coalition. I did too. I Gears fan out there because I was never a big Gears fan when they were coming out. I liked the first one okay, but not well enough to buy any of the others. Judgment's great, and you're crazy if you think that's one of the worst ones because number 1, 4, and 5 exist, and the very beginning of Gears 3 is horrible.
Horrible.
And you're deluding yourself if you don't think it is.
First half of 4, where you're fighting like brightly colored robots, it's like, is this a Gears game? Is this Gears?
That is probably the worst part. Like, I really didn't like the very maybe beginning third of Gears 3. I thought that was terrible. And of the Epic made ones, that's the worst one.
What, with the glowing,
but God,
like,
the first half of
glowing monsters that are impossible to kill in the boat and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lambent are horrible enemies. They're not great. And certainly not the areas they wanted you to fight them in. Anyway. But yeah, the first half of Gears 4 is the worst game in the Gear. Like, that is the worst Gears game, period.
Yeah. Nothing like Gears.
And it's funny.
Really
the goofy little DLC with the goofy characters for 5 is awesome.
It was good. Yeah, we really liked it.
Yep.
The lava mission
More
where
like a
you're
Gears
on the
game.
thing floating down the lava flow and you're like shooting stuff. I was like, this is fun. This is kind of fun. This feels
that's
very
the
Gears.
over the top ridiculous Gears crap that you need. You need to be on ridiculous industrial machine or insane natural disaster. Like it's like that's Gears. Like that's Gears stuff is crazy set pieces.
Gory kills where blood flies everywhere. That's what it should be. Not like brightly colored robot fights. Ew.
So boring.
It's very boring.
So boring.
It actually redeems somewhat in the latter half of 4, but that first half is terrible.
Yeah, and it's so funny because the tone, literally the tone of the latter half of Gears 4 is like, all right, fine, here's the Locust, but they're not actually the Locust now. They're called something else. And it's like, oh.
The Swarm
all
or
right.
something?
Like, why didn't you just do this before?
The main thing I was in love with 5 was the sand and snow physics.
Yes, that
I
looked
kept
really
talking
good.
about how
it
good
genuinely did.
How good looking the sand was. It's like, oh, this thing looks really good.
On the weird sand skiff that didn't have the gun because they clearly meant to, but didn't have time to get it done.
Yeah, so there's no sand battles. Anyway, let's push on really quickly. No. Hey, Ross, remember that show you saw on Apple that seemed interesting? The Adventures of Dick Turpin? Well, it's been canceled confusingly, season 2. So you might ask yourself, why it was canceled? I'm getting conflicting information. So they were 3/4 the way through by the end of the year. And the actor that plays Dick Turpin, who was in Mighty Boosh and a bunch of other British comedy weird stuff, Noel Fielding, just stopped returning to work after Christmas break.
What?
And their response was,
hey, buddy.
Yeah. Well, their response was, well, we can't finish the show without him, so I guess we're canceling it.
Oh my God. What?
Now,
what? He could show up for the Great British Bake Off, but he can't do the show you're starring in? What's happening? No, buddy. Are you okay personally? Just tell somebody.
And I saw comments from producers where they were like, and it takes a lot of planning and millions of dollars to make these shows, and it's kind of weird when he doesn't show up. Now, there are some things we're saying it's like, well, from people who are speaking, a rep for him is saying it's like, well, this is a private, confidential manner, and it's because of his health. I'm going to tell you, the word coming from the studio was mostly confusion, and he just stopped showing up. So it is, if it's for his health and something's going on, then all sympathy in the world. I don't know what's going on with him personally. But the initial word from the studio is he just stopped coming. And then we can't finish the show, so we're canceling it. And it was 3/4 done, and they're like, well, we're done with it then, I guess. And it's sort of a dark comedy about the actual highwaymen in Britain at the time who used to raid people along the road and steal their money. But yes, the show has been canceled in a confusing way where nobody knows exactly why. But the the studio is like, we don't know why he stopped showing up. He just stopped showing up, and we can't finish it without him. And his representatives are like, he has health problems. We ask you to give us distance and not ask questions because it's private. So yes.
If I was the studio in this circumstance, I might be thinking lawsuit. I mean, like I said,
know.
or like you said, sympathy to him, but this isn't how you go about it. It's
I don't know the
maybe
details.
you've got some health issues.
Yeah, because who knows what the truth is? Well, maybe he did.
Maybe, but
Like,
it
we don't
seems
know.
like they're like, well, everything was fine. He went home for the Christmas break, and we never saw him again.
Well, see,
Yeah,
that's the funny
but
part
that's-
is
listen,
the producers are just confused, and he's like, oh, health problems,
Yeah.
which makes me go, there must be some weird communication issue, or he's just a weirdo, which
Yeah.
is also explainable because Noel Fielding's kind of a weirdo.
Mhm.
So I don't know. No idea.
I mean, he's been in so much other stuff that's kind of long running that it would be. I am tend to lean that he's probably having a health issue, but then, yeah, there's no the whole truth. Obviously, is not here. It's very strange. That's what a
Sure.
strange thing to have happen.
To be fair, the Dick Turpin show is probably a lot more demanding on him than something like Mighty Boosh,
Yeah.
where he shows up and makes really weird skit stuff.
But
So
has
it's
old
probably-
Greg try and assault him or whatever?
Yeah. So he was also an IT crowd as the goth, but then
Yeah.
again, his
Yeah.
time wasn't
Yeah.
demanded on that either, where he was just kind of there partially for some episodes and then not there for a lot of others. And he
Yeah.
might be a flighty guy. Once again, we don't know, so we're just speculating. But if it is health problems, all sympathy, and hopefully he gets better.
Yeah.
A story I've been known about for a year or so, the internet's been known about, I haven't brought up. Why? Because it's hard to corroborate information about what is true or what is not based upon accusations being thrown all over the place. The only reason why this story is hitting the internet again is 4 more people have come forward and leveled accusations against Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is this quirky British writer who has written some stuff I like. Famously Sandman. He did what is that? Good and Evil show with
Good Omen.
Good Omens with Terry
Good Omen.
Pratchett. He wrote that. It was like a fantasy movie with
Neverwhere?
Claire Danes and Robert De Niro and
Stardust.
Stardust. Yeah, there's a lot of big name actors in that. The actual actor who plays Daredevil plays the hero in that movie.
Yeah. I liked Stardust. Stardust was a lot of fun too.
I always thought he was a decent fantasy writer. I'm not a obsessive Neil Gaiman fan. If you're a quirky emo person, you tend to be obsessed with Neil Gaiman. Setting this aside,
That's true.
this last year, he had a lot of weird accusations leveled against him from assistants and people that work with him and whatnot. I'm going to tell you behind the scenes, it has been very well known for a while now that Neil Gaiman likes very young women.
Yeah.
I'm not saying underage women, but quite young. So Silver's kind of in there. She could be an option.
Oh no.
I mean, if you ever wanted to consider it.
No.
Well, so there are sexual assault allegations against Neil Gaiman. Without getting to the gory details, Ross, apparently, according to the accusations, he is a massive perv with things involving poopy as well as buttering things, as well as food and things.
No! Stop! No.
So setting the setting the weird stuff aside,
God!
Ross, calm yourself. Calm yourself. Setting that stuff aside,
Horrific. I hate this.
I'm gonna get out ahead of this and say I'm not victim blaming. Here's the problem. A lot of these accusations are leveled against people that worked for him, who said, oh, well, he kind of forces or influences you into these sexual situations that are weird and creepy, and he's got these weird perversions. But then they keep coming back. And much like the Harvey Weinstein situation, where there were accusations where he was using his position to get sexual favors from people, you also have to consider the fact that a lot of those women went into those situations with their eyes wide open to get a boost of their career, to get into movies and get into other situations. I'm not saying what he did or what Harvey Weinstein did was right, but if you're in a situation where he's doing this and you keep coming back and you work with him for multiple years, part of the blame, perhaps, I'm not victim blaming, is that you should have gotten out of the situation instead of stuck around. Because who knows how much consent there is? Because one would assume there's more consent if you stuck around, as opposed to run out of there and told somebody or the police. So it's never as clean cut as one would say. Neil Gaiman sounds like a creepy piece of crap who is a pervert. So does Harvey Weinstein, who deserves to be in jail. If anything can be corroborated as some sort of assault situation, then Gaiman deserves to be in prison. End of story. However, that's not to say some women might have taken advantage of the situation to boost their sales or their career or whatever. Because these things get very murky when you have people in positions of power who use that position of power, and then maybe you feel like you're afraid of losing your job. We don't know how these situations played out. But Neil Gaiman sounds like a massive pervert.
Yeah. I mean, because the problem, it's the entirety of that situation is messy. I mean, like, because of the positions that everyone was in.
Correct.
No funny business here. But like where he is their boss, where they are working for him, like it's number one, he's an idiot. Like, don't do that, pal. Number one. Number two, because it would be, and granted, I'm sure he's been doing this for 30 years. But like, it's weird enough when it's just a fan of yours, but at least there's like, I have no real position of power over this person other than they're a huge fan of me, but like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whereas like, no, these are your actual employees. Like, what are you doing? My God, that's not been okay for a while, Neil. Like,
it's one thing where they're and one of the funniest bits of this hypocrisy is he is a massive feminist.
Of course he is. Well, you know, it's the camouflage you wear so you can get in close. That's what you do.
You find that constantly.
That's what these idiots do.
Weren't there people who worked at CNN who were like aggressive against, these horrible people, we need to protect the children, and then you find out they've got child inappropriate videos on their computers and get fired, and it's like, of course it's that guy. Of course it's him.
Yeah.
My question in all of these situations is, why didn't it come to light sooner?
I don't know. Usually I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say that it usually takes someone brave enough to say something, and then you get more people to sort of come out of the woodwork and also corroborate.
Right.
One thing that can be noted with a lot of these people is they have very similar sounding stories. Like, something similar happened to all of them. They're not like, it sounds like they all encountered the same person.
Well, that's good that it doesn't seem to be that they're fabricating something against him. But
once again, we don't know for sure anything at this point. Their accusations.
The situation with Harvey Weinstein and stuff is the same. It is the same situation because this should not have been going on, especially for as long as it did, and so it does make you question a little bit the integrity sometimes of what's going on.
Well, it's like you had one of the stories where one of the girls was an inspiring writer, And I don't know what she thought where sleeping with Neil Gaiman would make her write better. Like, I don't know.
Or maybe just open doors. Who knows?
Yeah, open doors or not.
And that's
then it's
entirely
like,
possible. If you're always around Neil Gaiman, you may, be introduced to people who can further your career, because you're there around publishers and whoever else. And so
here's the question: do
your name
women
gets out there.
not have their own agency, and can they not decide to sleep with somebody to further their career? Is that not are women
Yes.
not allowed to do
Right?
that?
Yeah.
Yes, they can, and so
I consider it
this
immoral,
is one of the things. Like
but
I
that
said, this
happens
is one
all
of
the
those
time.
things where I question some. This is what makes me question some of this. It's like one woman comes forward, and then a bunch start coming forward. Well, maybe at the time they're thinking, well, I'm doing this because I want to, and now they see an opportunity to again further their own career.
Well, we don't know enough details to say for certain, and at this point is speculation.
No, we don't.
Which is the big reason why I haven't brought up this story, because it was mostly accusations and speculation. Because the story has re-hit the internet with more accusations, I decided it would be worth to say something. I don't know anything. I'm making no definitive statement whatsoever. It seems like there's more people coming out of the woodwork saying Neil Gaiman's a creepy piece of crap. And if he is, that's a bummer. Now, I know there are going to be some weird disconnect with people who are obsessed with his work. And believe it or not, his quirky emo stuff, people are obsessed with. And people are not going to know how to deal with the fact that someone you like also might be a piece of crap. There is a weird aspect when it comes to art and culture and entertainment where you have to look at somebody who is a deplorable person, but might have written or created something that is quite good. Because not everybody is purely, because you would like a perfect world where it's like the people who make bad stuff are also bad people. And it's like, oh no, he made beautiful art and might be a perv. Like both things can be true because people are complicated. It's a lot harder to understand. We would love a perfect world where we could see it from the get-go. And Sandman was interesting. I read most of Sandman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the classic that everyone always talks about is Lovecraft. I mean, he created some amazing horror and like a whole genre.
Racist, yeah.
And he had some very interesting opinions on people not of Anglo-Saxon descent. So
he seemed to change his opinion a bit later on in life, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So everybody, remember how they killed Batman in Suicide Squad? Where it seems like Rocksteady regrets that, and they're going to try and make a new Batman game after the massive Suicide Squad failure. So they're saying that Batman didn't die in Suicide Squad? They're just rolling that back. The Batman in Suicide Squad is the Arkham Batman that we stuck with throughout all of the games, and they killed him in Suicide Squad in a unceremonious, crappy way. And now that Suicide Squad is a massive failure, they're going, actually, he's not dead, and we're going to make more Batman games.
Oh my gosh.
So they have rolled back whether or not Batman died in the Suicide Squad game. For your information.
God damn.
Looks like things didn't go super well for you.
That is so stupid. What idiots. I mean,
why would you kill one of the most beloved versions of Batman in video game form? That's my question.
Well, because we know better.
Additional news with things not working out. Hey, the game that everybody claimed sold really well, Dragon Age Veilguard, well, the director is leaving BioWare. Corinne Bush is running, kicking, and screaming from BioWare, is leaving the company after... Because you tend to leave a company after a massive success.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, well, it's time you leave on a high note. You flee and really get the hell out of there before the next quarter. You know,
Yeah,
really
you
want to get out of there
distance yourself from the brand. Now, to clarify a few things, she has been with EA for 18 years. However, to be fair to her, she's only been director of Veilguard for like the last 2 or 3. And Veilguard has actually been in development for like 7. So not all of Veilguard is necessarily her fault. But it doesn't sound like good decisions were made if you have to run away from a company after you directed a massive failure and you were there for nearly 20 years. I'm just saying.
Oof.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that ain't great.
A little suspicious. Hey, everybody. In order to sell the new Captain America movie, they're trying to attach getting a new skin in Marvel Rivals if you go see the movie.
Oh my god! Please, this game makes so much more money than this movie will. But maybe we can get a little bit of money off it. Please go.
If you really love Marvel Rivals, you have to see our movie to get the exclusive skin. You have to.
God damn.
Or at least buy a ticket and then consider that the price of the new skin. You don't actually have to go to the movie.
Yeah, seriously.
So yeah,
Oh well, if I don't have to go,
that's a good sign. One of the big stories this week, massive, huge story that I don't care about at all, has been a weird drama between Elon Musk and Asmongold.
Interesting.
Yes,
I am a real gamer.
I am a real gamer. So I'm going to read. In a move that does little to actually bolster the credibility of his claim, Elon Musk has responded to Twitch streamer Asmongold's recent call out of his supposed Path of Exile 2 mastery. Not with proof of his actual in-game skills, but with insults, verifiable false ones at that, against the challenger's character. To give you a TLDR, Asmongold claimed that for Elon Musk to be as advanced and as the character in the game, he would have had to have put something absurd like 10,000 hours into the game. And there's no way Elon Musk did that because he doesn't have enough time. So the accusation from Asmongold was he's paying people to grind the game for him, and then he just plays the big battles and stuff. I would suspect it seems like Musk doesn't have enough time to be one of the top players who have ground 10,000 hours into Path of Exiles 2. Just doing the math, he can't be as high a level as he is, because that's all he would do every day is play Path of Exile, and he's also running like 5 different companies and working with Donald Trump to investigate spending. So I don't think it's an unreasonable claim to call out Elon Musk and be like, you're not doing this on your own. There's no way you spend that much time. Okay? So that's fair. The response, Elon Musk gets really crappy. And there was this weird, awkward thing, which I actually kind of find humorous and human, is it seemed like Elon Musk removed Asmongold's blue check mark on Twitter and then returned it in one night. Like, oh, screw this guy, I'm removing your blue check mark. And then he thought better of it and put it back.
Dear Lord.
Does that seem uninteresting?
That's funny.
Do you know what I do think? And basically, Elon Musk ends up insulting Asmongold. Why does Musk feel like he needs to weigh into stuff? Just ignore him. He's some random Twitch streamer. It doesn't mean anything to you.
Well,
the dirtiest
and that's the thing too. It's like because Asmongold, I think, was just reacting to a video that somebody else made, analyzing like some of the gameplay that's shown that Musk does, and it's like, yeah, there's no way. And the thing is, that's fine.
I don't care.
Like, either don't respond.
People.
No, good for those people getting paid by Musk.
Yeah, but he's taking it personal.
I'll take that job.
Which is the awkward part. He got all upset. It's like, well, yeah, I am. And so Musk's response was, yeah, you pay people to edit your videos, and it's like, of course he does. What, you think he's illegitimate because he doesn't edit his own videos, or what?
Yeah, like I saw that, and it almost does Musk think that when they say editor, he means like in the literary sense, not video editors? I don't understand, like, because
he's implying that he doesn't do that. He is less because he doesn't do his own editing. That if he was a real, video person or whatever you want to call it, that he wouldn't have somebody else do the editing. He would do it himself.
That's just so crazy because Trump or Musk, you have so many employees. What the hell are you talking about?
Seriously,
not even your gaming employees, apparently.
Well, all of this being silly back and forth aside, the dirtiest thing, which I would disagree with what Musk is doing, is he leaked Asmongold's DMs on Twitter.
No,
that is pretty.
Doesn't that? Wait a minute.
That's kind of dirty.
Doesn't that violate the terms of service?
One might assume. So, Musk,
boy, this really made him ass mad, huh?
Yeah, Musk, like a lot of other people, seem to be a petty person who takes things personal and doesn't like when you criticize him.
Good Lord.
Once again, still generally favorable opinion of Musk, but people you generally have a favorable opinion who did things you like can also do really stupid things, and it seems like he's a catty, petty person when it comes to people questioning his Path of Exile 2 skills.
His gamer cred.
His gamer cred. Don't you dare call me an illegitimate gamer. Screw you, I'll leak your DMs, douche. In a bit of news, which I'll have to explain why this is of significance. So Diamond Comics has declared bankruptcy. Now, you might ask yourself, what does this mean?
Oh.
So for a long time, we're talking 40 years, a company called Diamond Comics has dominated the comic book space. Now you're like, well, who are these people? They're not Marvel or DC. No. Do you know who Diamond Comics are? They are the ones that distribute the comics. And when it comes to comic book shops, you had zero choice about anybody else besides you had to go through Diamond Comics to buy your stuff. Diamond Comics held the reins and the monopoly over the pricing and what you were or weren't allowed to get and how you were allowed to buy them for your comic book shops. They distributed everywhere. And when you had questions about what they did, or you wanted to go to somebody else or some different competition because you weren't happy with how they managed their company, they ostracized you and they pushed you away. They held on to the distribution arm of comic book industry with an iron fist for like 40 years. And have declared bankruptcy. Oh. So when somebody has had an iron fist over the distribution of comic books when it comes to comic book stores and places that sell comic books, and they can't actually maintain a company without declaring bankruptcy, that should tell you how badly the comic book industry is doing at the moment. Diamond Comics, who has a stranglehold over everything for 40 years, is dying.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's crazy because, I mean, comic book movies were the biggest movies for a decade.
Well, that's because they ruined... And I said, look, comic book movies have dominated. Ross is a test. Comic book movies are a massive thing for how long now? And do you know what the comic book industry did?
Yeah.
Instead of going like, oh, I love Iron Man, I want to get an Iron Man comic book, they're selling a black woman who's taken over as Iron Man. When you're like, oh, I like Captain America, guess what? Captain America's a Nazi now. Oh, hey, what if you like Thor? Thor's now a woman. The dumbest thing you could do
Yeah.
is not coordinate with the big thing that's helping to push your industry forward and make people go, I want to read those. What you should have been doing is massive reprints of classic stories from Iron Man and Captain America and Spider-Man and everything else, because now you see these characters. It's an opportunity to introduce new fans to this stuff. But instead, while these movies were coming out, they were embroiled with the worst storylines to come out of Marvel, to come out of DC. And they ruined it. Why can't you coordinate big, cool runs in your comics with the same time of movies coming out? Why do you have to ruin your comics by going, hey, everybody loves Thor. Do you want to read about how this girl took away Thor's powers and now is Thor? No, we don't. We don't want to read that story. Comic books have been nothing but a failure across the board. They don't know how to write their comics. They keep ostracizing the fans that have been buying everything they possibly can for years and years. The failure of the American superhero comic book industry is their fault. They ostracize the fans. I stopped buying comics when they offended me with the stories that they wrote. I bailed when they killed Peter Parker in Ultimatum during the Ultimate series. I was like, I'm out. Yep. I'm not interested anymore. A lot of people have bailed when they disrespect their characters or they kill them off or they replace them, and you'll never get those people back. You've ruined it. And I mean, the famous line from what's her name from Marvel, where she's like, well, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Deal. We didn't.
Yeah.
Deal.
Okay.
Done.
Got it.
Comics that used to be canceled for the numbers they were pulling in, they would beg to have those numbers today. Everybody it's like they made a movie with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has had multiple attempted runs with her character, and they've been canceled every time. I have to say that they've retried her comic run like 3-4 times, or it could be like 7. That's how much people aren't interested in Captain Marvel as a character. She sucks.
God damn.
But they don't understand this. They think to themselves, oh, well, we'll make it and everybody will love it because they have to, because they're stupid nerds and they'll buy everything we make. No, we won't. I don't have to buy your garbage. I'm not obligated to read your trash books that disrespect the characters. Nobody is obligated to buy your product. You have to convince me to come along. And the worst thing they could have done is disrespect the characters in such a way that long-term fans who would just buy everything you have walk away. This is why the comic book industry is doing 400, 500, 600 million, and the manga industry is doing billions. Billions by comparison. I'm surprised that Marvel and DC haven't gone out of business. Sorry, a little.
If
Marvel
Marvel
that way,
yeah, I mean, if they weren't so attached to these big studios, they would, and those big studios are in trouble.
Yeah,
it is my favorite thing, my favorite business blunder that Marvel refused to do tie-in comics with the movies. That is crazy to me.
They could have done comics,
not even necessarily like tie it in with the story of the movies, but just have them be the same characters that they were before.
Well, but they could have tied in with the movies. They could have had just Robert Downey Jr. in comic book form. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. It'd be great. And I mean, goddamn, they used to make tie-in video games. Like, what happened? Like,
I don't know. I don't understand myself. But this is how you destroy your own industry.
Well, you know, capitalism is such a taboo word anymore, and those moves would smack of capitalism, so we can't do that. We can't actually make a profit on our IP. We have to drive it into the ground rather than actually, you know, let the market decide what we should or shouldn't do with our products. That would be too capitalistic of us.
Well, people treat capitalism too much like as an ideology when it's really just a force of the market. Shockingly enough, if you provide a product nobody wants, no one buys. The market has wants, and the goal is to fulfill those wants with a product that people want. And if you're providing something nobody wants, then nobody buy. I don't know why. Comic books don't exist so that you can get your creative, artistic, and ideological Jones on, so you can get your political opinions into the books. And then we just have to buy it. Like, the comics don't exist so that you can just fulfill your artistic visions. It's like Kotaku. Kotaku was chocked full of people, writers, who only wanted to write about politics. It's like they wanted to be real journalists talking about politics, but they couldn't. So they just did that in gaming journalism. And the problem is that scared away people, and nobody wants to read Kotaku. And guess what? Kotaku's turned their back on that because they knew that they were dying. If you go to Kotaku now, it's not chocked full of politics because it wasn't working for them, because it was scaring away their customers. Nobody wants to see you preaching to them, and comics have been preaching to them. But at any rate, Diamond Comics distributors. I don't know why I sound like a baby. Distributors sound like a baby.
Distributors. The comic distributors.
The cornerstone of the field for over 40 years. The monopoly who have basically held a stranglehold and refused to allow you to have options when it comes to distributors as well. Declare bankruptcy. Now, does this mean that Diamond Comics is going away? No, because Chapter 11 is often like a reorganization thing, but it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And also, there is a comic book distributor called Universal Distribution who seems to be trying to step into the gap and buy up a lot of their distribution stuff and try and slip in, take over while Diamond Comics is dying. When you're a monopoly and you declare bankruptcy, that is a bad sign for the industry. Just saying.
You should be making money hand over fist because you're the only one in the game. So
you lack the capacity to manage your business in a reasonable way. Hey, Ross.
Yeah.
In a non-shocking turn of events, Better Man is a massive flop.
What? I'm shocked. Shocked to hear this, that the movie about a British star I've never heard of is failing.
Robbie Williams, the goofy British rock star who made a music video famously where he stripped down for women and then slowly tore his flesh off and threw it at him in a sexy way until he was a skeleton. It's a funny music. Look, I actually think Robbie Williams is funny. And I think it's a funny idea that if you're going to do a biopic about a musician, like you're doing the Freddie Mercury or the Rocket Man biopic, that his idea is, oh, do it about me, but I'm a horrible monkey man who's just indulgent in all of the horrible like drugs and sex and whatnot as the rock star. Like, that's a funny way of viewing his fame. That also means it's going to be horrifically expensive to animate a monkey man as Robbie Williams. And apparently it was very expensive and it did not do well.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Better Man managed only 1.9 million opening weekend. Good Lord.
Oh my God. Oh.
I bet this is in the 100 million range. I would bet. 110 million.
Oh, easily. Let's see.
110.
Wow.
It's not making its money back.
Oofty.
You know, and the movie might actually be funny. It's not, this is a confusing movie. Why you spend that much for a movie that I don't think everybody's going to be terribly interested in. But yeah,
not outside of the UK. I just okay.
I will see it when it's available somewhere else, probably on streaming. And a final bit of news that I put in at the last minute because I thought it was hilarious. Silver will probably be interested in this because she's violent. A man is jailed for life after beating his neighbor to death with a bag of Pokemon cards.
Oh, how big was that bag?
Well, he's a collector, and he had all of those general cards all put in a bag because nobody wants them. But the man, we have a quote here: "You call me an effing nonce, come out here and fight like a man." Because, fighting like a man means swinging a bag of Pokemon cards. Famously, men like to fight using
Good
sacks
Lord.
of Pokemon.
What'll it
31-year-old
be?
British man.
Swords or pistols at dawn? Neither. Pokemon cards.
Pokemon
Pikachu,
cards.
I choose you.
To kill.
But only in stacks of 100.
But the 31-year-old British man killed his 50-year-old neighbor. So watch out for the collectors. They do have large lumps of collectibles that could kill. As a word of warning, nerds can be dangerous. They have sacks of Pokemon cards. I've got loads
nerds
of
attack, it's the new Fox special.
I've got loads of old Star Wars customizable card game cards. I could probably sack those up
Ooh.
and swing it at silver.
Oh.
We now know how you're going to die.
My fate is written.
I always thought I'd stab her, but swinging
When-
a sack full of
when the
cards
po-
would be funny.
When the police find her body and the Pokemon card, we'll know who did it.
Or maybe set up like a Rube Goldberg sort of saw machine where you like hit something and it causes a chain reaction with things that takes her out.
Can you imagine the crime scene? It's just like you look down at my corpse there, and then a little evidence marker right by a Charizard sitting next to me.
Cops are incompetent. They blame the Charizard.
Evidence A. Evidence. What is it? The Golden Charizard or whatever the special card is.
Charizard's always the rare. It's always every pack. The new version of Charizard is always the really rare, expensive one. But I assume if I had Gambit powers where I threw cards, I could throw Pokemon cards. I mean, that's a thing I could do.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Evidence of Charizard card sticking out of my forehead.
Just chuck it really hard. It's been a special podcast, everybody, as it always is. So special. So special in the way that
So special.
we ride a different kind of bus.
Oh.
Perhaps not
bus.
quite as long, you know? I mean, there's not as many of us.
Not as long. Yeah, you're right. There's not as many of us.
Scandalous?
Fans of Scandalous, yeah.
It might be
Oh.
scandalous.
It might be Scandalous. Love the music.
Uh-huh.
Before we get out of here, final
Oh,
thoughts
yeah.
here, Jason.
Oh my gosh, there's so
actually,
much
we do have to do the
crap
fight
going
night.
on. I mean,
We do have to do the fight night.
Oh.
I'm the one that
oh,
remembered.
that's true. That's true. I had it pulled up too.
Jason is just like, no, never mind. I like that intro I put together. Suck it for
Yeah, it
questions.
looks
Nice
good.
intro.
I like it a lot.
Don't just massage my ego.
I always will.
Thanks.
You know,
Make me
dingy.
feel
So
like a man.
ball.
we are finally on the
My boy.
round 2
Ooh.
of
my boy.
our
My baby boy.
cryptids battle here, and we have the first round. We pared it down. We went from 16. We're now down to just 8 monsters. So this time around, we have the Dover Demon versus Bigfoot. To kind of remind you a little bit about them, the Dover Demon. Shoot, stupid thing. It moved on me. It's about 4 feet tall, glowing orange eyes, no nose or mouth, rough skin, long spindly limbs, and elongated fingers. Let's see where to go. Not much. It's kind of sketchy. Most of the time, it's just been seen. Not really. Doesn't really seem.
Well, the only
too
reason why
dangerous.
it's this far is Silver decided she wanted an awkward argument about how this weird slappy foot monster could win. That's the only reason why it's still here.
That's true. That's
My boy.
true. I'm thinking this one is going down because we've got Bigfoot that has a height of 6 to 9 feet and as
the
tall
giant
as
Sasquatch,
15.
the myth, the legend, famous for his movie Harry and the Hendersons, big old Bigfoot.
Oh yes, classic film, classic.
Secret superpower that nobody really knows about is you can't take clear pictures of him. They're always blurry.
Yep. He's always vibrating.
Do we have a breakdown from ChatGPT, Silver?
We do.
This Dover demon's
All right.
getting ripped in half. Anyway,
Don't lie. Don't try and make it sound like Dover Demon has a shot here.
No, I'll read this directly. How the fight is played out.
Uh-huh.
In a direct confrontation, Bigfoot's size and strength would likely overwhelm the Dover Demon. The Dover Demon's agility could allow it to avoid being caught, but without significant offensive abilities, it would struggle to hurt or outmatch Bigfoot. The demon could try to use its speed to evade, but Bigfoot's endurance and force would eventually give it the upper hand in a prolonged encounter. If the Dover Demon had any hidden abilities, like some sort of supernatural powers, it could potentially level the playing field, but based purely on physical stats, Bigfoot would most likely emerge victorious. Winner, Bigfoot, though the Dover Demon might survive by evading the fight and relying on its quickness and stealth.
All right, now give me your absurd argument
I'm not
where you
buying
think
it.
the Dover Demon is going to win.
Alright, how I think the Dover Demon would win.
Uh-huh.
You know, like the way they came up with how Ant-Man could defeat Thanos.
oh my
No.
god.
No. Dover Demon isn't crawling up Bigfoot's anus.
He's crawling up his anus.
His anus.
I know.
No, because Dover Demon doesn't have the power to expand or shrink. Like, he's just an ugly,
No, he doesn't.
naked,
But
flappy
he is
monster.
a little guy. Well, Bigfoot's a big guy,
I'm a
so
little
he
guy.
just crawls right up there and starts burrowing
He's
through.
4
No.
feet tall. He's not sneaking up on a
No.
9 foot tall guy.
And the Bigfoot doesn't have a cavernous anus. I would assume Bigfoot's pretty closed for shop back there. It's not a cave where Dover Demon can
Hold on.
crawl up and then sleep for a
ChatGPT,
while.
tell me,
No.
how would the Dover Demon win?
Dover Demon develops relationship with Bigfoot. They stay together for years and years. They get a close bond. Bigfoot has a codependent, sort of very close to Dover Demon. Dover Demon leaves him. Bigfoot devastated. Bigfoot suicide.
Takes his own life.
No.
What is that stupid Instagram video? I don't know if you've seen it. It was like the animation of a gorilla that's like, ride wife.
me
I
right wife.
fight back.
Wife fight back.
For a wife.
Throw wife.
Sad.
Reminisce about wife.
Sad.
Regret.
Regret.
So
is it-
there we go. That's how the Dover Demon wins.
The giant ape man's gonna throw the Dover demon. What are you talking about? He ain't the man in that room. No, listen.
No, he dies from regret at the end.
Bigfoot has
He
like,
still loses.
no.
Single tear. Anyway, I need to
Bigfoot is
read
like
this.
legendary, all right? There's no way the Dover Demon. No. Yeah,
All right,
no.
listen.
Please, oh boy.
In the style of
baby
Gendy,
boy.
like the Gendy Tartakovsky, you know, the guy that's doing that primal thing, that Bigfoot's gonna grab that Dover demon by the head, shove his thumbs into the eye sockets, and then rip the guy in half lengthwise. Like, it's over, done. Your boy's
What
dead.
if-
This is like that
Bigfoot,
Wookiee thing
you
where
know,
he tears his arm off and beats him with it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you know how any time like a person shows up to film Bigfoot, he just kind of disappears into the woods, never to be seen again?
Uh-huh.
What if? What if?
What if what?
What if here comes the Dover Demon? It
And he's
slappy
scared?
feet on the road once more attracts the attention of some morons who are like, oh my gosh, it's Bigfoot, and they take out his cameras and he disappears into the woods.
Well, let's
He
take
would
your
beat
argument.
the Dover demon to death before he did that.
Let's
Well,
presuppose.
he starts running.
No. Let's presuppose that the Dover demon's special power is slap your feet on a road. All right, let's presuppose that that is its most powerful ability in this narrative of stupid arguments. All right, let's assume that the setting that they're placed in would presuppose that there is no road, and I don't think he's getting slappy effect on the grass, is he? Unless for the requirements of having an even playing field, we have to place a road down the forest just so that he can slap you feet it. And I'm pretty sure Bigfoot has slap you feet immunity. It's in his stats.
Not when it attracts attention of maybe some humans. But that's
Bigfoot's
assuming humans could even be in the area to hear.
Bigfoot's gonna uppercut Roger from American Dad and vaporize him.
Precisely. So, no bias involved and not trying to influence anybody. Bigfoot. What are your votes?
Bigfoot.
It sounds like we've got at least 3-1 against the Dover demon, unless Silver wants to come to her senses.
Silver lives in a
admit that
delusional
the Dover
world.
demon would take a dirt nap here.
Silver lives in a delusional world of lack of capacity to be rational when it comes to the Dover demon. It's your baby boy. I imagine like that joke where it's like, "Father, no, my baby boy."
My boy!
My boy, Father, help.
Father, help. And that's how this is going to play
Look
out.
how they
As Silver watches Dover Demon just get destroyed by like a potentially 15-foot tall ape man. Destroyed.
Hold on, it gave me ChatGPT has given me the final blow. How Dover Demon would win. Okay. Eventually, the Dover Demon would capitalize on Bigfoot's exhaustion, confusion, and inability to fight back effectively. Where'd this come from? At this point, the demon could land a decisive strike, either through a direct attack like blinding Bigfoot or incapacitating it, or by forcing Bigfoot into a vulnerable position where it can't escape or defend itself. In short, the Dover Demon's victory would be one of stealth, strategy, and manipulation, not brute force.
No.
I don't know how this happens, but my gosh, I just had the best image of by forcing Bigfoot into a vulnerable position where it can't escape or defend itself, where Bigfoot's on the floor in the fetal position, the Dover Demon's trying to kick the giant thing.
No, well, when you said vulnerable position, I just assumed that the Dover Demon caught him while he was on the pot.
Oh yeah, totally.
And just Bigfoot didn't know what to do because he's like, do I stand up and fight or do I wipe?
It just comes out of Bigfoot's chest like alien.
Yeah, Dover Demon's too big. Too big to do that. Yeah, Dover Demon's dead. Long live Bigfoot.
Aww.
Harry and the Henderson, where you have to yell at him to go because he's like, I don't want you anymore. Go back to the forest with your family.
Go on, you dumb animal.
John Lithgow is all sad.
Could have been the chance. If we ever had more than 2 listeners, we could have made Dover Demon merch.
We still could someday.
We still could.
The grassroots campaign to back up the Dover Demon.
Oh yeah. And now I'm just gonna make Dover Demon like never forgive, never forget.
Yeah. Dover Demon, whatever year to 2025 at this point. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I need to make that now. Dover Demon with Sarah McLachlan singing.
Well, Dover Demon falls
Prince.
away. Bigfoot moves on, and next week we will be discussing the Goat Man of Maryland versus the devil monkey.
Yeah.
My baby boy. Triumphant. Bigfoot for
I'm
life.
sad.
Bigfoot for life. Oh, now we can end it properly. Jason's final thoughts.
Oh yeah, so just too much crap going on. Find something that you love, and don't let it become part of your personality. But and just enjoy it. Just enjoy yourself.
Fall apart emotionally when people criticize things that you base your personality off of. That's the best way to go.
Yep. Absolutely.
Lack the capacity
That
to be
seems like
rational when people make fun of
bumper
Dragon
sticker
Ball.
right there.
They're like, how dare you make fun of Vegeta's the greatest? Shut up. Dragon Ball's better. Freaking Goku can beat Superman.
Duh. Obviously he wouldn't.
Duh. You stupid idiot. He shoots like beams out of his hands. Superman just got eye beams. Like you're stupid. You're really stupid. Dragon Ball for life. And then he imagines himself Goku, and then he has those TikToks where he does those rage things, and then he animates like the hair and lightning on him. Even though he's overweight and nobody likes
several
him.
Dragon Ball tattoos.
He draws himself constantly as Goku going Super Saiyan. Yeah.
What if like Superman could go Super Saiyan though? That's what I'm saying.
Superman. Super Saiyan Superman.
Yeah, dude.
And then he goes,
Yeah, dude. Like
and then he
blonde
goes,
hair, big wig, you know?
God Super Saiyan Superman, and then he goes Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Superman. Believe it or not, that does make sense. The multi-levels of Superman. Ross,
I love it.
how are things there, champ?
Well, Slugger, things are going pretty good.
Did you enjoy
all
the
right,
airsoft
and,
with the tryhards?
You know what? It was fun. We were both right. Both my girlfriend and I were right. I was right in that these people were embarrassing weirdos, but they were nice embarrassing weirdos. However, I will say this. Without the ref there, I probably would have not liked it as much because I think he kind of toned them down.
Oh, good.
Because he's like one of the employees for this place. But it was fun. It was enjoyable. I have tiny little welts all over my arms and chest, so it's delightful.
That's from the airsoft, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not being beaten. This is a cry for help.
Just use a safe word if your girlfriend's beating you. Just use a safe word.
Well, there's no butter around here, I'll tell you that. Anyway.
And Silver, the glue, the defeated.
I'm greatly saddened this day.
Mark it on your calendar.
We have lost a legend.
The legend.
We laid to rest the legend. The Dover Demon.
The sad thing is those who lose get thrown into a mass grave. So it's going to be hard to identify.
This is his eulogy. You will never forget your slappy feet. How you successfully defeated I forget its name.
That was afraid of
whatever
loud noises.
It was the Michigan Dog Man.
The Michigan Dog Man. Thank you. With its slappy feet against the road.
Well, it's because the argument was so dumb that we let it through. But yeah. Anyway, sorry not to bogart you're mourning. I get it. Silver's in mourning. She's having a shiva.
Yes, I am. I'm wearing a black.
You're wearing black.
Yeah.
She's having a shiva. Well, it's a special episode. Just every episode's special. But if you enjoyed the podcast, like, comment, subscribe.
Special.
I'm going to shill hard. You do them likes and comments and subscribes. But the podcast is fun to do. And if you enjoy it, do the thing. But we're going to get out of here and run away, as we always do, Time to see you guys next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, you can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God.